Hello, everyone. Are you filing an appeal that maybe you heard before an immigration judge? Or maybe you have a family member who is in ICE custody and you wondered what the process will be like for them. If you help clients with both these situations, and I'm going to explain about immigration courts in the US today. I'm Raluca and I provide immigration, family law, and estate planning legal services. And it looks like I'm here with Nina Clear, my marketing and office manager, but it looks like our phone just called, and this is what's happening when you're live. So we thank everyone who is watching and for all your likes, shares, and comments. They help other people to see our videos, and we truly appreciate your support. As I said, today we'll be talking about the immigration courts, and I will start to explain a little bit about the American system of government. Most of us know that the American government is supposed to be a system of checks and balances. And Nina is back. Like I said, she was on the phone. So the American government is supposed to be a system of checks and balances with three branches: legislative, the Congress; executive, the president; and judicial, the courts. All designed to work so that each function independently, and there is not one branch that has more control than the other.
And so then, hi, it's Nina. Sorry about that. One of the important parts of the checks and balances is that the judicial branch is supposed to be free from political influence, right?
That's right.
But immigration courts aren't, are they?
No, immigration courts are under the purview of the Justice Department, which is a part of the executive branch. And therefore, each president determines who leads the Justice Department, and that person makes decisions for all immigration courts and policies throughout the country.
Although there is a little bit of checks and balances because you can appeal to the federal court some immigration decisions, and also to determine if any of the policies or procedures are constitutional, right?
Yes, that's right. And people have done that for many of the new policies that were put into place by this administration. In fact, just this week, there was a decision striking down the policies Jeff Sessions instituted this summer, where he said people could no longer use domestic or gang violence as a basis for seeking asylum. But it's a long, slow process, and what we are seeing is that this administration then revises the policy to meet their needs, but with more sound legal reasoning, and then it can't be overturned, such as with the travel ban that was put into place.
So even though the Justice Department is part of the executive branch, and we have seen that they are prone to being more politicized than we expect from our judiciary, there are some limits to it.
Yes, some.
Okay, so let's talk about who might have to go to immigration court.
Sure. Anyone applying for asylum will have to be heard in immigration court. Also, people, if they are already in removal procedure, also people who are in deportation proceedings, especially if they request a cancellation of removal, which means they're asking to be able to stay here. Also, people who are trying to become legal permanent residents may have to go through immigration courts. People who are appealing decisions may also.
And I've heard that immigration courts are similar to a criminal trial. Is that right?
Yes and no, and they shouldn't be, but sometimes the decision that they make it to have consequences as if it would be a criminal trial. The decisions made are civil, not criminal, and the decisions are usually if you can stay or not in the U.S. There aren't the same constitutional protections. I'm sure we all remember the news story from this summer where children without legal protection and representation, or even the ability to understand what the judge was saying, as it was like a 2-year old and a 5-year old, were processed after being separated from their parents. So they had to have a hearing in front of an immigration judge.
So when you say not the same constitutional protections, what do you mean by that?
Well, one difference is the immigration judges aren't judges per se, but attorneys who work for the Department of Justice. You don't have the right to an appointed attorney paid by the government if you find yourself there in a court. And in fact, only 37% of those in immigration court hire their own attorney. Not being appointed an attorney means you may not have a fair trial. There's a lot of discussion where immigration lawyers were asking that a law is going to be part of the immigration law to allow people to have appointed attorneys. But so far, nothing like that was legislated. So if you are able to hire one attorney or find a volunteer to help you, they can represent you, and those who have an attorney are 12% more likely to win their case. So I always recommend you have an attorney in immigration court.
And how else is immigration court different?
Well, in criminal court, the attorneys often want their clients to appear at their best. So they will bring them clothes. So they are in an orange jumpsuit, and they will ask that they be not handcuffed. Those in immigration court will not have their handcuffs or shackles removed, and they will have the clothing provided by the facility where they are in prison. And in my experience, when my client was there, I tried to even talk to them, and I was not allowed to talk to my client, which I just found ridiculous and unfair. But yes, that's not the same protection as is a regular court.
Because usually if you're in a criminal court and you're like, oh, I want to talk to my attorney alone, or the attorney says I need to talk to my client alone, they're like, okay, and they'll put you in a room
Yes.
where nobody else can be, so you can have a private conversation, but that's not the case.
Yes, they usually allow you to talk to your client, but they don't even do that.
Okay. And is there a prosecutor in immigration courts?
Yes, this is an attorney who works for the Department of Homeland Security. This means that both the judge and the prosecutor work for the executive branch and may be more politically aligned, and their boss wants them to accomplish the same thing.
But isn't that true in other courts? I mean, most judges and the prosecutor's boss wants them to accomplish the same thing.
No, in other courts, the judge is more independent and doesn't usually work for the same agency as the prosecutor.
And what else is different?
Immigration judges have huge caseloads, which leads to a massive backlog of cases for several years and very little administrative help. So they have to process more cases. Their caseload is almost double than a federal judge who has clerks and legal assistants than most judges. And the largest part of their caseload is deportations, just under 70% in 2016.
And has that changed with this administration?
Well, in 2016, there were 330 immigration judges. There are now about 400. A new mandate says that in order to keep their job, they have to make a higher percentage of decisions. And in 2016, they issued 137,875 decisions. If you look at the numbers, that's over 417 in a year for each judge. So more than one a day. But since the Department of Justice is requiring that to obtain a satisfactory rating, they must now close more than 700 cases in a year, meaning at least 3 decisions a day. Many legal advocates, including the American Bar Association, have said that the new requirements will impact independent decision making.
And just for people's information, most, like the American Bar Association and other organizations have said, in order to catch up on the backlog, they'll probably need at least 1,000 to 1,500 attorneys, which the current president and Congress have said they'll never
They'll never hire so many people.
Get that many. And that and the sad thing is there's actually more hearings all the time. So they're putting more cases in the courts. So even though they got some more judges, it's not alleviating anything.
No.
At all. Okay, so can you appeal decisions?
You can do this first with the BIA or Board of Immigration Appeals, but the Attorney General or the Justice Department can overturn any decisions by BIA and that they don't agree with. Though this is done very infrequently, Jeff Sessions did this more than any other Attorney General, and you can also appeal some cases to the U.S. Courts of Appeals, which is a federal court.
How successful are the appeals?
There is an 8% success rate for the appeals.
So can you be deported while your appeal is being heard?
Not while it is working its way through the immigration courts, but once you reach the federal level, yes, you can be.
Okay, so this is a lot of information to process. We were going to talk about exactly what it was going to be like when you go to court, but we're going to do that in another live, and we'll also talk about, what to expect when you're there, how to prepare for one, and what types of different court hearings there are, because the immigration court hearings, there's different levels of them. So we'll do those in other lives.
Yes, absolutely. And just a reminder for everyone, we posted this on our blog, but USCIS in Atlanta and probably throughout the nation, but we did not check with each office, is closed on Monday, December the 24th. So if you have a biometric appointment or other appointment scheduled for the 24th, you should not go in for that. Any people scheduled for a biometric appointment on the December 24, 2018 at the Atlanta office will receive a new letter with a new date and time for USCIS. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please submit them to us here or in a private message. And we wish you to have a wonderful weekend. See you soon.